All right, so this afternoon we're going to be doing the Spaetzle. The Spaetzle recipe is actually in your textbook. I've gone ahead and taken that recipe and I cut it down in 1/4. Spaetzle, to give you a little history, it's actually from Germany. All right, it's a German kind of a starchy dumpling, right? Similar to like the Italians eat pasta. That's when, you know, or the Americans, we eat potatoes. The Germans, they eat Spaetzle like this, right? So let's get started, all right? I'm going to go ahead and move this down so you guys can see. And I have here, my mise en place is I have 3/4 pound of flour, all-purpose flour. I got 3 eggs. I got a 1/2 cup of water. I got a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a little bit of nutmeg. We're going to just sprinkle some nutmeg in there. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the nutmeg in now. My fingers are not all dirty, right? So you want to be careful with the nutmeg because the nutmeg is a good flavor in there, but you want to make sure that you enable yourself to not have too much of a flavor of nutmeg. You can actually do the overkill on the nutmeg easily, right? All right, so here we go. We're going to put some gloves on. Just put 1 glove on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix it with my hands. And the reason why I mix it with my hands is because I want to be able to feel that consistency, that texture, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and add my eggs, all right? And I'm just going to go ahead and mix that up. I want to try to be, it gets a little messy. It does. And then we're going to add that water. I don't want to add all the water at once. I can add a little bit more water later on. Okay, and then I'm, again, with my fingers, just going to go ahead and mix this up. So it has the salt, nutmeg, flour, water, and eggs in there now, right now, all right? A little more water, the rest of the water. And again, now we're just going to start really mixing this, right? And it makes itself into like a very, 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 very thick pancake batter is what we're basically looking at, all right? And again, all right, so we have that very, very thick pancake batter. Using my fingers to mix it up works really, really well. And you can see how I'm going to actually use my fingers when I actually poach the dumplings in the water. So meanwhile, I have some boiling water on the stove right behind me, right? Let me crank this up. Right, it's right, so it's boiling there. It has a little salt in the water as well. All right, and so I have the gnocchi dough here. It's a tiny bit dry, so I'm going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit more water. Again, it's a feel thing, right? So you're feeling it, right? And so it's a tiny bit dry. I'm going to go ahead and just add a tiny bit more water. Sometimes the eggs are a little smaller than they are at other times and such. So it'll be a little drier, a little bit wetter, depending on what kind of eggs you use and the size of the egg and such. All right. So you can see, I'll go a little closer to the video. You can see how it is a very, very thick pancake batter. That's what we're looking for. The flavor of the salt is in there, the flour, the eggs, the little bit of nutmeg in there will add a good flavor. All right, and then we're going to season it again later on with a little bit of butter and some fresh chopped parsley and such. But it's super simple, right? Super simple. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to actually move over to the stove. Let me move this closer. You guys can see over at the stove area there. Oh, let me move up a little bit. You see the stove area over there. The YouTube video will actually enable you to get a little closer look at it. So again, all right. I also have a pan on. What I'm going to use is I'm actually going to, you want to find something in your cupboard that has holes, right? They actually make Spaetzle makers, you know, and they slide back and forth and such. I'm just going to find, I have a colander here that has maybe some 1/16 of an inch holes in it. I'm going to set that above my water here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the dough and I'm going to just move it across. So you can see that I'm just moving it across the bottom of, right, over that water, right, over that boiling salted water. And as it goes through, it's just dropping down into the water there. So I have a little bit more. You don't want to go crazy. You don't want to go crazy and overdo it. Don't overcrowd the water. So I'm going to do about half first, and then I'll do half again later. Again, you can actually do this if you're in a commercial kitchen. You can do this over a steam jacket kettle and do, you know, enough for 1,000 people at one time if you wanted to. But here at home, we're just going to do enough for a couple of portions right now. That's it, just a couple of portions. All right. And so as it's dropping into the water, it's poaching. It's going to poach. You want it to poach for about 2, 3, 4 minutes. maximum. It should float on the top, and then another minute or two after that. I have some of them actually starting to float already. So, and a little bit more here. I might as well just do it all. I recorded the recipe, so it's not that much. All right, so we're just allowing that to just drop into the top of the water there. All right, all right, and then we'll move this off to the side. Take off that glove. And now you can see how we have these little pasta dumplings just happening in the water here. Again, they're floating already. And what is it called? It's called the Spaetzle. The Spaetzle, right? So, all right. So it's a German, very German dish, right? And so another minute or two, and we're going to be ready to go. We're going to be ready to cook them. What I want to do is I want to get a pan pretty hot, right? And I'm going to add some olive oil and some whole butter, right? So I have some whole butter here. I'm going to go ahead and put the whole butter in the pan. Let me switch this so you can actually see this a little better. Switch this, move this over here. This over here. There we go. Okay. All right, so I have my Spaetzle in the back there. I have my pan here. I'm going to take some butter here, put the butter in the pan. You want that butter to brown. Get a nice toasty, nutty, brown butter flavor there, right? So, all right, and then what we're going to do is put a tiny little bit of olive oil. That's going to help it to not burn so quickly. It'll even it out on the browning of the butter. It's going to give that beautiful aroma. Wow, you can smell it right now. The aroma is filling the entire kitchen. That beautiful toasty, nutty brown butter aroma, right? So for that amount, I'm doing about maybe a quarter cup, maybe 5 ounces tops on the butter oil mixture. All right. The reason why I don't want it to be too greasy, I'm allowing that to cook over high flame, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want that aroma of the brown butter to happen. All right. Meanwhile, I have some parsley nearby, I have some salt nearby, and I have some fresh crushed or fresh cracked black pepper. All right, so here we go. Now what I'm going to do is very carefully, right? Again, we're dealing with hot fat and we're dealing with water and stuff. So you want to use a spider to drain, right? Or you can take a colander and dump it into a colander or whatever, and then go from there. But here we go. I'm going to take the Spaetzle. I'm going to allow it to drain really good, and then again right into the pan. Right into the pan. You're going to hear that sizzle, right? You're going to hear that sizzle. Okay, so we have the beautiful brown butter. The Spaetzle, right? Spaetzle. It's a Spaetzle. I love that word. It's one of those fun culinary words, right? Like stoodle is a fun culinary word, right? And gumbo. Oh, gumbo. Gumbo's another fun culinary word, right? Arugula. Arugula is a really fun one, right? You know, if you say arugula 3 times fast and jump up and down, they think you're a jungle madman. Arugula, right? Anyway, did I lose my Zoom meeting? I don't know what happened. My Zoom meeting's done. All right, so they'll have to see it on YouTube or whatever. Okay, so what I'm doing is again, it's nice and brown, the brown butter, and I'm allowing it to get crisp on one side, right? I'm allowing it to get crisp on one side. Let me see if I can get them back. That's weird. Weird. So I'm allowing it to crisp up a little bit on one side, and I am flipping it, right? And I'm having the beautiful. Now I'm going to finish with fresh chopped parsley. I'm going to finish it at the end with the parsley. Reason why I'm going to do that at the end is because parsley has in it. It has a green. What's in that parsley that makes it green, right? It's chlorophyll, right? The chlorophyll will die if you cook it for too long. So again, we're just going to add that toward the end, and that's going to give that beautiful garden aroma and flavor. All right, and then we're going to do a little bit of salt. I have the Parmesan cheese there from the gnocchis. A little salt, and again, fresh crushed black pepper, right? And we're just going to go ahead and twist that on there. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful flavor of the pepper. Right? And then we are going to flip it one more time. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and plate this, right? You want to put it into a casserole dish, or you could serve it. You could plate it for your guests. But let me just show you what it looks like. We have the beautiful potato. I mean the Spaetzle, right? The Spaetzle. So I'm just gonna put this onto my plate here, and then I can put this in the center of my table, family style. All right, and serve this with a pork loin, braised red cabbage. Serve it with a rack of lamb. You can do it with maybe a braised lamb shank, perhaps maybe. So you have a beautiful, beautiful Spaetzle, right? Beautiful Spaetzle. All right, there we go.